Dawn rises slowly over the frozen Ardennes, December 17th, 1944. The forest lies silent beneath a suffocating blanket of snow, the world muted by winter. But through the mist, a low rumble begins, deep, mechanical, relentless. It grows louder, closer, until shapes materialize from the gray fog. German Panther tanks, frost shimmering on their sloped armor, treads grinding over ice-covered earth. 45 tons of steel, precision, and purpose. The machine the Allies feared most. Their long 75 guns sweep across the tree line like predatory eyes searching for prey. To the men of the Wehrmacht, the Panther is a fortress, nearly untouchable from the front. Its glacis plate might as well be a wall of iron. Its KWK-42 gun can destroy most Allied tanks long before they can strike back. The Germans move confidently, certain of their dominance. But hidden beneath a camouflaged net and a thin crust of snow, an American M4 Sherman crew waits in silence. Inside the cramped fighting compartment, breath fogs the air. Frost clings to every surface. The loader's hands, trembling from cold and adrenaline, reach for a round. But not the usual armor-piercing shell. This one is heavier, denser, new. Weeks earlier, crates labeled Priority Air Shipment, fragile steel components, had arrived behind the lines. Inside lay America's latest gamble, a round with a metallic gleam none of the tankers had seen before. Briefings claimed it could kill a Panther head-on. Most dismissed it as fantasy, until now. The gunner steadies his scope on the lead Panther, 800 yards and closing, too close for comfort, far too close for survival. Normally, the Sherman would already be reversing, knowing its 76 gun stood little chance against the German giant. But today is different. A breath, a heartbeat, then the thunderous crack of the Sherman's gun. The new shell, M93 HVAP, high-velocity armor-piercing, tears into the cold air at over 3,400 feet per second, nearly twice the speed of a standard round. A spear of tungsten, one of Earth's hardest metals, streaking forward like a falling star. The Panther's armor, so confident and so feared, meets a force it was never designed to resist. The tungsten core slams into the gun mantlet and punches straight through. Inside the German tank, the world ends instantly. The penetrator shatters into a cloud of molten fragments that ricochet around the turret faster than the human eye can follow. They slice through steel, ammunition racks, fuel lines, and the men inside. A storm of white-hot needles. Gasoline fumes ignite. Propellant cooks off. The Panther's turret lurches upward on a column of fire before crashing back down. The tank becomes a furnace of burning metal. No one escapes. The German crews never knew such a shell existed. No orders had warned them. To them, the Sherman's gun was a nuisance, underpowered and easily dismissed. But a single unseen upgrade, a tungsten core mined in California and machined in secret, had turned that nuisance into a nightmare. The story begins years earlier, in laboratories filled with chalk dust and the smell of scorched metal. The United States was losing tank duels. Reports from Normandy told the same grim tale. Panthers destroying Shermans long before American rounds could even scratch them. Sherman crews joked bitterly that their tanks burned so easily they should have come with zippers. But everyone knew something had to change. Enter tungsten carbide, denser than steel, harder than steel. Able to slice through armor not by brute strength, but through physics, by concentrating enormous kinetic energy into a pinpoint. Germany had used tungsten early in the war, but by 1944, Allied blockades and bombing had starved their supply. Their precious reserves went into a few elite weapons. Their armor began to crack under stress. Their tanks rolled into battle already at a disadvantage. Meanwhile, American scientists pushed forward. Their masterpiece, the M93 HVAP, used a slender tungsten spike wrapped in a lightweight aluminum sabot that shed itself mid-flight, letting the core reach extraordinary speeds. Tests on captured Panther plates were astonishing. Where standard rounds bounced harmlessly, HVAP drilled straight through. Where normal impacts left dents, HVAP left glowing, ragged holes and destruction inside. But there was a catch. Tungsten was painfully rare. Manufacturing each penetrator required microscopic precision and days of labor. By late 1944, many Shermans received just one HVAP round per month. 5 rounds per tank was considered a luxury. Commanders hoarded them, saving them for duels no one expected to survive. And in the frozen Ardennes, that moment had come. As the German offensive surged forward, Panther after Panther pushed into American lines. But the defenders were ready. Tank destroyers armed with 3-inch guns and guarded HVAP reserves waited in the narrow streets of Krinkelt and Rocherath. At close range, where every shot counted, tungsten proved merciless. German crews reported hits from angles and distances they believed impossible. Panthers that once shrugged off incoming fire now erupted in flames. Armor cracked, turrets blew skyward. Some tanks burned down to the hull, their interiors coated in melted aluminum and charred steel, the unmistakable fingerprint of HVAP. Word spread through the Panzer divisions. The Americans have a new shell. It pierces the front. It explodes inside. We cannot stop it. They were right. HVAP didn't simply penetrate, it obliterated. It turned the Panther's thick frontal armor into a brittle coffin wall. It exploited fuel leaks, overheated engines, and ammunition stored along the sides. A single hit could turn the tank into a roaring firestorm. By January 1945, the numbers were undeniable. Nearly half the Panthers sent into the Ardennes were gone, burned, abandoned, or twisted beyond recognition. And still, German officers struggled to understand. Reports spoke of stronger American guns, mysterious new tactics, impossible penetrations. But few realized the truth. The battlefield had been changed by a handful of precious shells hidden in the corners of American turrets. The race for tungsten had shaped the war more than any new tank design. It was physics over armor, industry over desperation, innovation over brute strength. In the final months of the war, as American forces surged into Germany, HVAP rounds finally flowed freely. Panthers that once inspired fear were hunted with confidence. Duels that had once been suicide missions had become winnable fights. After the war, the truth was undeniable. Captured Panthers showed tiny, perfect entry holes and chaotic, shredded interiors, the unmistakable work of tungsten. The myth of Panther invincibility collapsed under the weight of science, and the legacy of HVAP lived on. Modern tank shells, fin-stabilized, saboted, tungsten, or uranium, owe their existence to that first breakthrough. In the winter of 1944, a simple brass casing and a tungsten spike changed armored warfare forever. It gave American crews hope. It gave German tankers nightmares. And it proved that no matter how mighty the machine, a smarter weapon will always find a way inside. This is the story of the round that turned Germany's most feared tank into a burning coffin, and forever shifted the balance of power on